attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's location webinar presented by Great Garment Graphics. My name is Mark Schwarb. I am the State of Florida Sales Representative for Group Stalls, and on board with me, sort of at the controls, is Jody Wheeler. Happy to have you helping me, Jody, since this is my first presentation ever on a webinar. I'm told I need to mention that this presentation is being recorded for future viewing. It will be available at the Great Garment Graphics website shortly after the conclusion, and forever on all time's sake. It's archived as are most, if not all, of these webinars we do. So today's webinar, location, really has nothing to do at all with real estate. This came to me as an idea that I visit a lot of customers, and during my travels, I see that they don't fully utilize the heat press machinery that they own. They might be missing out opportunities to do extra locations. So I've put this idea together, and you're looking at me now and some of my background. During my years in sporting goods, I was asked to do a lot of tricky locations, and as things evolved, it included travel bags and things like that always posed extra challenges. So I feel like I've become a bit of a voice for taking your heat press and your other decorating methods to the max and offering your customers more than they might be thinking about. If you look at that, that's the way to maybe add on some sales, and we'll talk about that later. So I'm here as a rep now for Group Stalls and the Group Stalls companies for I think it's about 7 years now. So I travel the area and I see customers, and we discuss what their needs are, what their problems are, and we try to find solutions to it that then end up being something profitable for them, hopefully. At this point, Jody, if you can launch the first survey, we want to ask a question or two as we go through this webinar. The first question being, how many of you have a heat press? We need to know a little bit about that and know, who we're talking to and whether they're considering a heat press, having a heat press, or not.
Great, so we have most. I'm going to close it up in just 1 second. It looks like almost everyone's voted. And then we'll get to see the results. Mark, it looks like almost everyone has a heat press, and we have a couple that are looking at buying one. Okay, that's great. We're not going to sit here and ask you what brand of heat press or what the capabilities of your heat press are. I'm going to make a few assumptions that with your heat press, you can maybe interchange the lower heating platens to different sizes and things like that. If you can't, then we'll be talking later about maybe some insert pillows, some other things that can help you decorate some hard to fit locations. So with a heat press in hand, you've made the first wise choice, and you can now follow along to learn more about where we're going to decorate. This screen is going to show you a couple of our heat presses. This is a Fusion model, which is a swing-away, and our cap press. The reason for these two being on the slide and not some more others or other types, the items that you're going to see decorated in our future slides, we're done with these two presses. The one on the left, the Fusion, is nice because of the interchangeable platens, the platen area being the blue lower board, if you will. We're going to show backpacks and all sorts of things that we were able to get underneath that heat press and put logos on. The cap press to the right, handy tool, obviously built for caps, but if you don't have one, it's also a good consideration for areas like sleeves and the thigh of shorts, the back of the neck on shirts. Other items will fit under that press. So some people look at it as just a cap press, and if they do a lot of caps, great. If not,
it is versatile enough to do a lot of other projects. Let me scroll through here. This screen here, the reasoning behind this screen is that a heat press is complementary to all of your other forms of decorating. So you own a heat press, that's great. If you are screening or embroidering, sublimation, DPG, and others, your heat press is there to complement and expand what you can offer your customers, aside from those processes. Many of what you see there, items might come to you with screen printing on it. You're going to utilize your heat press to hopefully personalize 2 or 3 other locations. So the heat press is a viable tool in any decorating business. Jody, you want to let me know as any questions may come through? We're going to ask the audience at your leisure. You're able to type in questions. Jody will sift through them and present them to me as we go along.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, my first screen here as it regards the decorating. Excellent screen, and what we are showing here are some very difficult, normally very difficult locations for other forms of decorating. Emphasis here is numerous locations, new locations, add-on sales. I want to mention that, and I want to emphasize that. You have the ability to take an item that might have one location and decorate it in numerous locations. With the heat press, you can do that, and each one of those can be an additional sale for you. So this is very important. You're looking at a backpack, the shoulder straps, very cool location. I can speak from experience on this. I did my daughter's backpack with her name. It gets a lot of attention. It's a different and new location to personalize. It's very eye-catching. You'll also, I'm blocked a little bit, but you'll also see some pocket locations that are very difficult in other means of decorating, embroidery especially. Hooping some of these locations can be quite difficult. So you need to know that with your heat press, with some insert pillows and other accessories, all of this is possible. Another excellent example. I don't know if you're selling duffel bags at the time out there. You should be. They're a highly profitable item. And for each of these locations, consider how much extra you're adding to your bottom line. We've got locations on here. Top lid, very difficult area to decorate with screen printing. This bag may not fit well underneath your conveyor dryer. It will fit under a heat press. The end pouch, also another difficult area to screen print. You may be able to embroider it, but with heat press and heat decorating, it's there for you to take advantage of. We brought in caps, and obviously I just spoke about the cap press. Caps, visors, very good items. The front panels of caps are obviously the first thing you would be able to do under a cap press. But don't ignore the additional locations. If we can put the NYC that you see there, the wild hog that you see there, the breast cancer ribbon that you see there, if we can add each of those to a cap, and suppose we put 50 cents into it, if we can charge an additional $1.50 per location, each one of those becomes an add-on sale. We're all accustomed to being upsold or add-on sales at the grocery store, the car dealers, everybody else is doing it. Quite often my customers as I'm traveling are not fully taking advantage of the additional locations that they can add. And the question becomes, why not? It's there. If you have the ability to get these transfers, if you have the ability, obviously, to make your own, and you have a heat press to do it, take advantage of it. Try it out. Be different than the guy down the road. you have competitors that aren't willing to think outside the box, aren't willing to add these locations. They're only interested in perhaps to do things as inexpensively as possible, toss it out there, give it a try, but not to go the extra mile and get the extra few dollars. I suggest presenting it, make a case for you to do more decorating. Jody, you have a second survey if you'll run it, please.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about some real difficult products. I'd like to hear from the folks in the audience what they're having trouble decorating.
So the next question is, which item do you find hardest to decorate? Is that a backpack or duffel bag? Either caps, sometimes sleeves. What in your experience, Mark, is the most difficult for your customers to decorate?
My customers struggle with backpacks and duffel bags. That's why there's double slides with them. The bulk becomes problematic. They look at that and they'll shy away because of the fabrics that they're dealing with being difficult. There's a lot of nylon products in the backpack and duffel bags. Mixing of inks, getting good bond, doing multicolor. Backpacks and duffel bags are tough, but my experience in the sporting goods business is they are also highly profitable. Second probably would be reversible jerseys or any double layer mesh items like gym shorts. In most of the traditional processes other than heat press technology, the two sides slide around on each other. The holes allow ink to go through. They're just a messy, slow, problematic item. Any double layer, and specifically double layer mesh, very difficult. We cure that with heat press and transfers.
So it looks like, Mark, 36%, you're right, have trouble with backpacks and duffel bags. We've got 18% with sleeves. Nobody seems to have a problem with reversible sports jerseys, but split front is tied with backpacks and duffel bags. Nobody likes to do a split front.
That is true. We're going to show a slide here in a moment with some accessories. Might be able to help those that are troubled with the split fronts with a couple of the accessory pillows. And I don't think we made too many slides showing a cross over a split front, but I believe the next one's going to show a hoodie. So, yes, we have the hoodie up on the screen now. And while we did not cross the front of that, it could be that this option of the vertical word Burton would suit some customers. If they insist on going across that zipper, making it a split front, that's workable too. I, in my experience, have tricked various pillows by putting a slit between them. That way the zipper would settle down into a cavity or a groove and give me a nice smooth surface when I'm up underneath my heat press for my logo to transition right across the split. In the instance of button split fronts, I'll address those. I typically took the approach of do left, do right. I would take a transfer product, lay it across the split front, cut it, and then either attach it to the left, attach it to the right, and put it back under the heat press. Okay. Some people will tack it. You can, from time to time, take a vinyl transfer, a word, say strip of the tail, lay it over the opening, hit it with a very quick, very light tack, get a pair of scissors and run it up through the split, unbutton the shirt, hit the left, hit the right for the final adhesion press, and then put the shirt back together, and you're virtually done. So split fronts are problematic. Split fronts are slow. So are hoodies. So are reversibles. Don't be bashful about charging a little extra for them. Otherwise, you'll just resist doing them. It is doable. Heat presses can help you do it. Other processes, not so much. My next slide brings into play a little bit of what I've been talking about with the lower Platens. The interchangeable lower Platens are important when we're talking about location, location, location. The difficulty in getting to some of the locations cause people to stay away from offering them. I think that's a mistake. Not offering it eliminates what I was talking about earlier, the add-on sale. Getting a few extra dollars out of each location. Putting together the best looking bag in town. Whatever it is that you're needing to do the extra locations for, maybe an extra spot for the personalization, you're going to probably need some method of getting the bulk of the item up underneath the machine, getting something into the product to elevate the heated area. That's where the items that you see on this screen come into play. What we've got here is our heat press on our new caddy. I love this item. It's been missing for decades, if you ask me. I've been at this a long time, and I would have loved to have had that caddy about 20 years ago. You can see the picture of the gentleman loading the shirt, and that's a good example. Certainly it's going to work great for shirts, but if that were also a bag, if it were a hoodie, something bulky, the bulk would be under the machine, out of the way of the heat press, not all crunched and jumbled up and squeezed to a narrow area, under the press. I mentioned, and I will flip back here real quickly to our fusion press. Something I may have omitted. What you're seeing is the press to the left, the fusion. It's hard to see the threadable gap area below the platen, but we do offer a good 4 to 5 inches of area for the bulk of a shirt or a bag or what have you to fit up underneath there. So that press is very, what we call threadable, and that press allows for the handles and the straps and everything else to be under the heat press. I'm going to give you the best and flattest surface to work on when you're doing some of these difficult items. I'll just scroll quickly forward. I'm going to show that bag again. The center row of pictures there where the bicycle is, that's an example where you will need most likely an insert or a pillow and an interchangeable platen. Okay? In order to get into that zippered area, platens on the bottom of this screen, the circle and the rectangle, going to come in real handy for that type of work. If your machine doesn't offer those or do, I suggest you give some consideration to making something of your own that you can insert into the bag. You may need to make something out of cardboard, not corrugated cardboard, something flat. The corrugated lines in cardboard will come through on your transfers if you're not careful, so do not go that route. You see some specialty platens on this. Emphasis that they are, they are a source for speed. If you'll take the time and get the right platen put on the machine, in a long run scenario, you will speed your process, your production enough to make the platen, well worth your time. Two very special platens on here. If you're in a manufacturing situation, the one in the center, we made for shoes. The one to the far right, as you can see, there's some gloves on it. There are specialty platens. Point being that take the time, make the right pillow, insert the right platen, and speed your production. You want to keep these impressions to about a minute or so if you're going to do this theory of add-on sales. You can't add on sales and have it cost you a lot. You need to have add-on sales flow quickly and come out, profitable at the end. These are accessories. Speaking a little bit about accessories, pillows. I mentioned making your own from cardboard. You can't have a pillow and an accessory supplied by us for every project. You're going to get a bag. It's going to throw you a curve. You may need to make something of your own. Believe me, it's worth the time. You'll probably use it again. to make your own out of cardboard or something else so that it fits nicely in and out. In the instances where our product will fit, great. Use the pillows to elevate. Use the pillows to soften the blow, so to speak, from zippers and buttons and other things that might cause problems for your transfers that are above them or near them. The binders on backpacks, very problematic there as well. What you've got in the center is a cover for your heating elements. That happens to be the cover for the top heating element. And in the bottom right corner of this slide, you'll see the cover for your bottom heating element. Those are going to provide ease of loading, if you will. Things are going to slide on and off quicker without catching. You'll get a few extra seconds savings on each press that you do, and in a long run, that can add up. In the center bottom, heat tape. Since you're dealing with difficult locations, transfers may not just lay perfectly flat for you. You may need to adhere them lightly with this heat tape. It was designed to not stick to the garment, no residues left behind, it doesn't melt, but it will hold your transfer in place while you're raising and lowering your Platens. So consider the heat tape there in the center for, again, helping you speed production, getting more accurate prints, holding down your image so when you put the lid down, your hands are free. You're not trying to hold the bag and the transfer at the same time while you're lowering the lid. Get a little bit more hands-free with the heat tape there. It can be a big help. Okay, so why do we want to do all of this? Why do we want to do location after location after location? For me, in my travels, sitting with my customers, asking what's going on in or around their business, I say, well, you know, if you can offer that, wouldn't you want to be the one to do it? Wouldn't you want to answer the challenges from your customers? They may bring something to you to decorate. In those instances, you want to be the yes man. Sure, I can do that. Outside the box thinking. When your customer leaves and realizes you put in the effort to do what everybody else in town won't or can't do, they're energized by that. They want to talk about you. So that you're not, you know, fearful of change in new locations. If every jersey or every bag only ever had the same print in the same location, how boring. So don't show the fear. Go outside the box, find the new locations. Speed up the competition. They're not thinking like you. You're ahead of them. You've attended this webinar. Take some of the pointers, take some of the ideas, go out there, put up some displays. You know, within minutes of the end of this webinar, you can go out and decorate a bag. And you can decorate a bag in 4, 5, 6, 10 locations. Your competition might not be. What are the benefits? What are the benefits to putting in this extra effort? Your business can grow just by word of mouth. When that team is walking around the convention center and their backpacks have their names on their shoulder straps in nice big bold letters, when they take those backpacks off and they set them on the ground and they're all very legible, people are going to talk. Hey, we got the coolest backpacks in the convention center. Where'd you get them? Obviously. Second one's very big. This occurred to me because I have a customer who is posting pictures of just about everything she produces on her Facebook. And I read some of the responses, and her friends and family members and her customers are commenting how cool the stuff she's doing, you know, is turning out. Take pictures of what you do. Take pictures of the backpack. Take pictures of the shirt where you were able to put some decorations on the collar and the flap and the sleeve and the neck. Post that stuff. Get the feedback out there, and you'll love it, and people will talk. We've already gone through the add-on sales. Big opportunity to get an extra couple of bucks, $3, $4, $5 from each location. Also, the ability to expand the thinking within your own organization. Some of you are probably single-person businesses. Some of you have 2 or 3 employees running around working with you. Once they see the extra locations that people can decorate, they'll start coming to you and say, hey, let's try this. Or can we put glitter flake in transfers on the ends of this backpack? Of course you can. It will expand their thinking, and it just might make you the only person in town with a particular location decorated. That's got value. I'm probably running a little ahead of time. I'm at 2:26. I've got plenty of time for questions. I don't know what's coming through in that regard. Let's see if I can read here.
I don't have any questions that have come in yet, except for Vince. Of course, really loves the idea of the caddy, but he has a swinger press and wanted to know if we were ever going to have one available for the swinger.
The way it's been explained to me is that with the swing away head carrying the weight off to the right when you swing it, the stance of the legs on the caddy would have to be so broad to not tip over that probably won't happen. It would be difficult to put the stance of the legs, out so far that people are tripping over them, or it's just problematic for anybody working around the press. And when you swing that 20 or whatever pounds of top heater to the right, it's got to be pretty well supported not to tip. So I could never say no for sure. The people at Hotronics are very creative. They know what they're doing, but I don't hear about it, let's put it that way.
I actually have a question. What do you find when you showed those extra Platens, the round bagger? Like what kind of uses do you find are used most with that Platen?
The round one, I think, is a carryover from the day when bags were mostly round. The traditional duffel bag that you carried into gym class was round or tiered shaped. Frankly, I think the round Platen, it's just as well used for anything where you don't want to catch the edges. When you're loading and you're loading quickly and you're loading onto something that has a long straight edge, it is maybe a little slower. The products slide, or I shouldn't say slide, but skid along the edge. So if you're dropping a logo on a pair of shorts and you just sort of put the short on and let it roll off the edges of the round bag, put the logo in the center and heat it, great. But I have found typically now that the rounder was made for round bags. Round bags are virtually obsolete, and the most popular interchangeable Platens are the rectangles.
Yeah,
Smaller rectangles.
Yep. I was wondering, Mark would like to know, he wanted to know how the air fusion stands on the caddy. So if you could explain sort of how the air fusion works.
I guess that's a good retort to my idea about the leverage. I don't know that the weight on the air fusion being swung around, it certainly does carry the weight out there. There's no question about that. It is on a very similar stance, and I'm just kind of looking up, trying to recall what the caddy stance versus the air fusion stance is like.
Yeah.
I don't want to say for sure that the legs are identical. I will pay more attention to it when they're all set up at our next trade show.
Yeah. And if I may interject, I know that the fusion and the air fusion are made of aluminum, which is typically lighter than what the swing away press was made of, heavy metal. So I don't know. I'm no mechanic or electrical engineer, but I would imagine that might make a difference as far as standability and weight disbursement.
Well, the good news is I will be in a room with the with the manufacturer. And I have no qualms about asking that question, straight up. That's,
And he always has good answers. There's no doubt about that.
Well, yeah, the flip side is I think, too, the Fusion was designed with the stand underneath it already to hold some products. But the questioner might be onto something that it's not, it certainly isn't the span that you would get on a caddy. There's no
Right.
doubt. And the modern look of the caddy does play favorably in a shop or out on a facility where people are looking in at your work. So it's a question worth asking. Certainly, we're capable. We build all of that right here in the States. We're capable of doing a lot. If the requests are there and the need is there and the possibility is there,
Yep.
it could get addressed.
Yep. That's how everything gets made, right? We see a need for it and figure out a way to make it happen.
Right.
So Mark, Philip would like to know if you have any problems with the smaller Platens when using the 16 by 20 heat press.
No, and I think the reasoning behind that is our heat presses are famous for their center pressure. We come down with our heat presses, even our clam style models come down with nice level and even pressure. I think maybe that question is coming from somebody who has a clam and the back of the press hits the smaller platen before the center and the front and might torque it or push down on it unevenly. I think that we have that solved at Hotronics with center pressure. I don't encounter that being a big problem. I don't find that the fittings break or that the screws are eaten up by uneven pressure or anything like that.
And then Guy was wondering, I know obviously at this point that we don't, but maybe since you're going to see Ben in a few weeks, Guy was wondering if we had any plans to make slip covers for the extra Platens. And I say, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for all the small ones.
Yeah.
I think that's worth bringing up, sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, if it's viable for the big press or for the big size platen, the ability to get shirts on and off quicker, then why not the small ones? I know that we have a slip cover for our 11 by 15 lower platen, which is primarily a shirt board for youth, but very worthwhile question. And all of this does get taken, up the chain, so to speak.
So it looks like that is the last of the questions. I did have a couple come in of a few that did come in late, and I know we've already mentioned once, and I did type to everybody, but in case any of you did attend late, this session is being recorded, and so you will be able to access it at greatgarmentgraphics.com. Typically within 24 hours, we'll have it. You can find it in the archives tab.
Mm-hmm. I think it's worth mentioning free freight on presses for the remainder of the month of July.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
They can be very important. Some of these presses will cost $80 to $120 to ship. That's free for the month of July. So if you're not into this and want to be, that's enough of a savings to maybe make up your mind now.
Absolutely. We did have a few who were in the market who have joined today.
Right. So I have the thank you screen up. I thank everybody for attending. Again, this was my first. Hopefully I'll have a second. Come up with other good topics and try to draw from some of my experiences. I thank everybody for attending. I thank Jody for holding my hand and getting through this first event for me. So good luck to everybody out there that's doing heat press decorating. Visit Great Garment Graphics often. Go to the archived videos. Get everything you can out of our experiences. It's all right there for you.
And thank you so much, Mark, for bringing your expertise and your ideas, because like we talked about before, you're out there, and so you know exactly what's going on in the industry. And so anytime you have an idea and would like to come present another webinar for Great Garment Graphics, we would be really excited for that.
All right.
And thanks everyone else for joining us today.
We'll do it. Thanks, Jody.
Yes, have a great day.
Bye, everybody.